Kia ora everybody, and welcome to the Beer Jerk Beer of the Week drink along with Matt
And Luke.
We're pretty excited about drinking a saison today.
Love saison.
Yeah. If you've ever met either of us or watched one of our videos or podcasts, you've probably heard us chatting about saison. So,
Almost certainly at exhaustive length, which we will now do again.
Yeah. Just people like repetition, right? Hearing more about saisons. And it's from Southpaw.
Yeah, so Southpaw are a relatively new little brewery in Christchurch. Cheers. Well, I say relatively new. They've been going since, 2016?
2016. So the first 2 or 3 years they were contract brewing and doing a bunch of interesting things. They won some awards, the classic story, and then they invested in their own 1,200 litre brewery. So 4 friends started the brewery after travelling widely around the world and getting inspiration from lots of different places. And they've built this wonderful little hub in Christchurch where they do different events and things. They've got a nice brew pub and doing some pretty interesting beers.
Yeah, and so Southpaw have a focus on using New Zealand ingredients. So this is a kind of New Zealand twist on a classic saison. So it's a lot brighter and hoppier than your traditional Belgian saisons. It's it's hopped with Nelson Sauvin and Motueka, I believe. Yes. And it's delightful. It's really kind of
so nice.
Zesty and bright on the palate, as you hope a saison will be. It's got a nice spritzy carbonation. And then the phenols and the esters from the yeast are tying really well into that kind of winey New Zealand hop character. It's kind of got that floral note that you're looking for. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the beer just tastes alive.
Yeah.
And saison is a beer that's all about seasonality and it's all about produce. All beer obviously is an agricultural product, but I feel like saison, farmhouse ale, grisette, they're just so entwined with the land. And that this is definitely a beer that you want to be drinking in a French farm after a sunny day labouring in the fields.
Yeah, and I really like what they've done with it in terms of that New World interpretation. They've hopped it just enough that the hops really sing out, but they don't dominate. It doesn't drink like an XPA or a pale ale because that yeast character really comes through strong and melds really nicely with the hop character that they've got in there from those New Zealand hops. You've got getting that kind of earthy, spicy. There's almost like a bit of a heat to it on the back from the yeast as well, which kind of actually works with this beer. That you've got those floral characters melding with the spice and the other fruit characters from the yeast.
The yeast characteristic is definitely dominant, which I think that's the style. That is a saison.
It should be in a saison, yeah.
And I've certainly had other New World saisons that are more in common with just a hazy pale ale. Really, the yeast isn't really doing any heavy lifting whatsoever, and it's a beer with a nice bit of body to it, but it's just hop forward. Whereas this, it absolutely the yeast is the hero, and you just get a spiciness in there that's really enjoyable.
And drinking this, you definitely get that sense that it feels like it is in almost that hazy pale ale family, but it's just got this one note. It's that yeast note that really separates it and elevates it, in my opinion, to something just with a lot more complexity that is really nice to drink. So really good job to the team from Southpaw. They've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. And lovely drink. So if you're in Christchurch, make sure to go and check them out. You can also check out some of the writing from their head brewer Cameron, which appears periodically in Pursuit of Hoppiness, which you get in your Beer of the Week boxes. So I'm going to take a punt here and say his name's Cameron Burgess from memory, but that might be wrong. Sorry, Cameron, if that's not your surname.
We're not the best at preparing for these videos. We pretty much just wing it.
We pack boxes, and so I've got to go home, so let's go shoot this video. But we do the research in buying the beers, and then we forget about it for 6 weeks. You can catch some of his writing in Pursuit of Hoppiness, and he's done some good articles about styles and about faults. So if you want to get more from the horse's mouth, you can check that out as well.
And beautiful label as well. I think it's always worth mentioning. We see so many beautiful labels, but the core range of Southpaw, they're just really bold, really simple core range, not brightly coloured cans. And this is, it's got beautiful floral design on it. I really like the sort of like the coppery rose gold reflective notes.
Yeah, it is a bit of a departure from other labels that we've seen from Southpaw, and it works really well. It's and that floral label really reflects what you get in the beer, which is often nice to see as well. Kind of, it looks like it tastes, which is an important element to drinking nice beer. Kind of tying in that whole experience is something that we always like to see and do. From when you see it on the shelf to when you smell it, when you drink it, kind of really kind of having a cohesive experience there. So really well done from Southpaw.
Yeah, well, good work, Southpaw. Keep it up. Make more saisons. They're bloody great. In other news, this Saturday here at the Fridge and Flagon, we're hosting NanoFest.
Yeah, NanoFest is going to be a really good time. So in case the microphone didn't pick that up, it's NanoFest, which is a celebration.
It's a small festival.
A small festival of celebrating some of New Zealand's smallest breweries. So we've got a bunch of weird and interesting stuff from the likes of Concept Emporium, Craftwork, Cell Division, Brewed Fermentation, Workshop, and some others. Who else? Bootleg. Wilderness, yeah. So there's going to be a really great selection from some really interesting and funky New Zealand breweries. We've got.
I feel like any one of the beers we could build an event around by itself.
Yeah.
Just each of the beers is so incredible, and it's not as though we're just taking beers where a brewer's just made a hazy pale ale and put some lemon in it. These are things that have just been very well considered and crafted, made the way that the tiniest breweries do, with little consideration for bloody profit margins, because
so
doing it for the love.
So they can do things like make an ice distilled peanut butter and coffee pastry stout, and
that's is that Wilderness?
That's Wilderness.
Yeah.
That's Shoe Squared. We've got,
just Shoe Squared, just that beer alone, that is enough to reschedule whatever you do on a Saturday afternoon. Come here, drink that beer, eat a roasted rose pie, and have something to tell your friends about on Monday.
Yeah, and then you can also tell them about the Low Quack Goes from Jamie at Cell Division, the whiskey barrel-aged Oud Bruin Scotch bonnet from Craftwork, a barrel-aged IPA from Concept. We've got a big 6-litre bottle of Emporium's Dark Raspberry Sour.
Did we figure out, is that a Jeroboam? Nebuchadnezzar?
We didn't figure that out.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to pour the 6-litre bottle. We'll figure it out. Some sort of apparatus.
Yeah, we've got a double IPA from Workshop. So there's a really cool array of fantastic beers from great breweries on Saturday. So you can check that out. And then on the following Saturday, we have Wildstock. So Wildstock is a beer that used to be a beer festival that used to be annual. But obviously the last couple of years have hit that pretty hard. But it is a partnership we do with Jules Costello from Known Unknown Wines, and formerly of Cult Wine, if you would have seen it in that iteration.
It's still a Cult Wine.
Still a Cult Wine.
Yeah, that's still a thing going.
Yeah, I feel like it's all Known Unknown now, but so...
with Jules is a lot like us, that he does a lot of shit. So yeah, it might be like, Matt from Small Gods, no, from Tex Beer, from the Fridge and Flagon, from Beer Jug. Yeah.
And so Jules is us, but for wine. And so he's going to bring a bunch of interesting natural and lo-fi wines, and then we're pairing that with some interesting wild beers. A lot of them from the same breweries that you'll see at NanoFest, though it'll be different beers pouring at Wildstock. So anything kind of wild, funky, interesting fermentation, interesting natural ingredients, and kind of alternate takes on beer and wine. So that's going to be the following Saturday, 21st.
So at Wildstock, it's not just about sour and wild fermented beers. There will be a lot of sour and wild fermented beers, but also just whatever stuff we categorise as being wild for whatever reason, with unusual ingredients and techniques.
Yeah, and one of the exciting beers that we'll be pouring there is our new collaboration with Jules, Agnostos, which is a Chardonnay Brut sparkling ale. So brewed with Chardonnay grape juice and aged on Chardonnay skins. That's going to be delicious, and pouring at Wildstock, so you can come and check out the new Small Gods beer there as well.
Beer and wine, yeah. Who'd ever thought it? We'd be such good friends and make. I'm going to be interested to see what the feedback on that beer is. Yeah. I love it.
I think it's great, but it's it's a really interesting. I think it's a really interesting best of both worlds thing.
Yeah.
Where I find wine quite challenging a lot of the time, but I really like some of the fruity flavors that you get from grapes, and I think that those flavors have been really well integrated into a light, bright, sparkling ale that brings you kind of the best and refreshing aspects of beer.
I think there's a lot that brewers can do with wine, whether it be with grapes or with barrels or amphora, but there's such a variety, it's a whole different thing. But we'll chat about that more in a future video.
Yes, we will. So until then, we've got some amazing Australian mixed cases available on the website as well, from Moondong and Deeds, so you can check those out. And otherwise, let us know what you think. Hit us up in the members group at NZ Beer Jerks. Join our mailing list and talk to us. We like to chat.
Enjoy the Holy Roller. Great works. I think it's called the Sawmill.
Southpaw.
Southpaw, yeah. Sorry. I'd edit that out if I was good at editing. Great work, Southpaw. Fantastic beer. Thank you.
Cheers.
And we'll see you next time. Cheers.